Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you care about the mental health of people in lockdown, you need to be a calm meerkat. You need to be chill. You can't be screaming and yelling about everything because people look to each other. And if outrage is your response to all the things, you are winding people up and making it harder. Oh, lockdown. It's not fun. I'm not having all that much fun not being able to go out whenever I want. And I don't think anyone else is either. But it is the circumstance that we find ourselves in. And so let's do our very best to endure it with good humor and bring people along and make people feel good while we're doing it. I have heard several arguments from people saying that being locked away is worse than getting sick and dying or having thousands and thousands of people dying. That we're social animals. We're social. So don't lock us away. And I get that. I totally get it. I am someone who goes outside a lot. I enjoy it. I like to move. And I have found it challenging to be only allowed outside for 1 hour a day outside in the street. I mean, you can go outside a backyard or a balcony or whatever. But yeah, I've also found it very challenging. And I agree, we are social animals. And because of that, I think it's important that we talk about our responsibility as social animals to one another. Social animals, kind of like, let's say we're meerkats, all right? And we're looking around and we're going, oh, what's happening? What's happening? Or you look at small children who look at you for cues about the environment, for understanding about what's happening, how they should feel, i.e. when you look at a child and they've fallen over the park and they look at you and you go, come on, you're all right, because you're a grown up and you know that wasn't a big fall, it was just a little boop boop, no big deal. And they look at you and they're like, and you're like, you're all right, let's go, get up, you're okay. And they go, okay, I'm okay, I must be okay. The person who I look to get my understanding of the world is telling me I'm okay, I must be okay. They get up, they go, oh, and you go, yep. And they go, oh, okay. If they look at you and you go, oh my God, and you see they'll burst into tears. They'll be a train wreck because they've just seen you like, oh my God, something terrible must have happened. This must be terrible. I will take my cue from you. Because we're social and we're used to like understanding risk and the environment from the people around us. Now let's take a moment to extrapolate that from little babies to maybe meerkats who are just checking things out and saying like, hey, what's up? We all good? Everyone's just looking around, looking at each other, to COVID-19 and the public health response, particularly in Victoria, to COVID-19. Some of us, the bulk of us, have gone, hey, this isn't great, but we've got to do what we've got to do. It's important. There is not a number of preventable deaths that we're happy with getting to the thousands for the sake of being outside a little bit more, and we need to do the right thing. There's a handful of people who have not done the right thing, and they're making it very difficult for everybody else by being part of the reason why we have to get locked down is because you don't do the right thing. Virus gets around, we're not allowed out. And then there's another group of people who may or may not be doing the right thing physically, but are essentially going like the paranoid dad at the playground, everything in the world's falling apart. And I see so much of this on the internet, and it is driving me insane because that often are following up this outrage piece with, and what about the mental health of everybody in lockdown? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you care about the mental health of people in lockdown, you need to be a calm meerkat. You need to be chill. You can't be screaming and yelling about everything because people look to each other. And if outrage is your response to all the things, lockdown, not lockdown, security guards, not security guards, sick people, not sick people, spreading, not spreading, whatever. If outrage is your response, you are winding people up and making it harder. And the people who suffer the most from that, I'm fortunately not one of those people. I'm not a high-risk person like that. I'm not someone on the edge of despair at all times. I'm not someone who suffers from high anxiety or depression or something like that on a day-to-day basis. I'm someone who feels like I've got job to do and I just do what I have to do every day and I'm okay with it. But some people struggle, and when they see this outrage online, their impulse is to do what social animals do, which is do this. This is not validating how clever you are or how correct your information is, or how good of a question that is. Well, in any more than the difference between the kid crying at the park is right for screaming or right for being cool with it. I think we all would prefer that the kid falls over and is cool with it. Gets on with their day. Day isn't ruined. It's not a traumatic experience. They bumped their bum and they got up and got on with it. Or it becomes this big deal. All the people screaming and yelling, you're creating a big deal. And this isn't about being a sheep, and this isn't about not paying attention. This is about respecting expertise and understanding that there is a lot going on, and we will have a chance to assess what happened once we get through it. And we will get through it. There will be an end date to this pandemic. Our medical technology is miles ahead of the flu pandemic that wiped out millions of people. Economically, we have had a recession every decade. 80s, 90s, the 2000s. Okay, 2020 is early to kick one off in the 20s, but okay, it might happen. It will probably happen. But we have had a recession every decade of my life. Some of them have been shocking. In 2008, something like 10 million people lost their homes because of the recession caused by bankers. And this isn't even a disease that was killing thousands of people every single day. This was just literally greed that left 10 million people homeless. And I don't see people complaining about that the same way that they're complaining about this. We've been through it, we'll get through it, but we'll get through it if people aren't the crazy parents at the playground that are claiming outrage about everything. We are social animals. So be cool. Listen to people who know. People who pay attention to this stuff. It's very difficult to drive a conspiracy theory through thousands and thousands and thousands of public servants. It's not easy to do. As much as a conspiracy theory people love to tell you that it is, it's much easier to just get a couple of conspiracy theorists looking for attention, looking for outrage, to come up and complain about things that don't exist, because they have no accountability to what happens in the long term. The people with the accountability and the resources to look after us are the governments that we have currently, state and federal. The state government is looking after the public health response. The federal government will be largely responsible for our economic response to this. I'm glad the JobKeeper's lasting a long time. I'm glad that we have a state government that cares enough to do what needs to be done to get this under control. And hopefully it gets under control, and also double hopefully we get some kind of treatment sooner rather than later so that we can work towards a normal post-COVID. But at the moment, we're not there. And the best way to get through it is to just check in on your friends, look after the people close to you, advocate for support for everyone, not just you. Make sure that as we come out of this, that we're constantly onto the federal government in particular for supporting grassroots level investments at things like local businesses, small businesses, sports clubs, schools, all these sorts of things, that the public service is well funded so that we've got teachers and we've got police and we've got firemen and all these sorts of things that keep things rolling along, and that we just be cool and we say, hey, it's frustrating. We get it. It is frustrating. It's very annoying. Isolation is horrible. No one's enjoying it. So rather than wind everybody up, let's just check in on one another and let's do what we need to do to get through this in good humor, nice and calm, feeling good, less outrage, more looking after each other, less terrible quote unquote research on the internet, reading unverified memes, posting facts that don't exist, making things up, and trying to get mad about things because you in particular are affected. We're all affected. Every small business owner is affected. Every person is affected. Every parent is affected. Every teacher, every student, every child, we're all affected. The best way to get through this is to get through it together. The best way to get through it together is to advocate and aspire for everyone to have as much opportunity and support as possible, regardless of where we find ourselves now or later, and make sure that that's what we're constantly harping on about. That's the big deal. So don't be one of those crazy meerkats doing these ones. Don't be the parent at the playground who's freaking out when their child falls on a bump. Don't be the person who's just outraging, capital letters, posting, this is ridiculous, dictator, blah, blah, blah. Sky News reporting, Andrew Bolt complaining, Alan Jones complaining. I mean, Alan Jones, my goodness. He's literally just wants to complain about whatever he can complain about, regardless. And then complain about the level of hype and outrage. Come on, guys. I mean, if you've paid any attention to Alan Jones, you know that he trades in hype and outrage. So don't worry about the outrage. Worry about the long-term recovery. Worry about the long-term support. Worry about doing whatever you can do to stay cool while this is happening, and know that, yeah, as social animals, we do look to one another. And if we look to one another and everyone's going okay, then we'll probably be okay. If we look to one another and we want to help everybody, then we'll probably be okay. But if it becomes a free-for-all between people yelling at each other about being sheep or not sheep, or people saying I need more help than you, or anything like that, we're going to be in a bit of strife. So I hope everyone can come together. I hope we do a good job of it. I certainly care. If you need anything that I can help with, or we can help with at the Just Be Nice project, by all means get in touch. Look after each other, be the cool meerkat, and hey, we'll get through this like we've got through everything before, and we'll get through everything in the future with good grace and with good support, and of course, just being nice.